welcome to Chapter 9, Section 2. Right now we are working on the metric system. And we are going to look at all of the metric systems together right now. Even though they're spread out among the next 3 sections, we're going to cover them all today because they're all the same. All metrics start with their unit, and if you're talking about linear measurement, that is the meter. And if you're talking about volume or capacity, that's the liter. And then if you're talking about weight, that's the gram. And these all get treated exactly the same way in the metric system, which is why so many people prefer it, except Americans. Not because that our system makes more sense, because it doesn't, and not because our system is easier to use, because it's not. It's because we're too lazy to learn something new, honestly. So, if you're going to be working in science, if you are going to travel abroad, you're going to need some kind of a working definition of metrics. So, here we go. If you are changing from metric to metric, let's say you have 32 meters, and you want to know how many centimeters it is. So here's the secret to metrics. You're going to put this in so that your number ends here. I want my 32 to end in the meter column, and this unit here, this is the meter column. Each one of these is a column for a number, but I don't want to draw these lines. So I'm going to stick my 32 in here, so my 32 looks like this. And this is 32 meters. But I want it to be how many centimeters? So the new number has to end here. So I'm going to do this. And it equals 3,200 centimeters. And that's all. That's it. 452 meters equals how many millimeters? Well, I want my 452 to end in this spot. Here's my meter spot. I'm going to do 452 meters. And now I want it to end in the millimeter spot, so I'm going to do this. And that's my answer. 452,000. That's how many millimeters there are in 452 meters. Now, there are different ways of teaching this. This is the way they teach it in Europe, where they use it. In America, because we're used to saying, well, there's this many of this and this, and we learned that there's 100 centimeters in a meter and 1,000 millimeters in a meter, and so you're going to multiply your meters by 100, or you're going to multiply your meters by 1,000, and you have to remember all of that. No, you don't. You have to remember the order that this list goes in. And you don't even have to memorize it right now, because this is Math 20, and they'll give you anything you need to know. Promise. Let's try a problem with a different start. Let's say we've got, that's not right, right here, 15 kilometers. And we want to know how many meters it is. So our 15 has to end in the kilometer spot. So we're going to stick a 1 and a 5 here. This is 15 kilometers, but we want our number now to end in meters. How many meters is it? It's going to end here. We're going to say 0, 0, 0. This is 15,000 meters. And how many centimeters is it? We could even figure that out. 15 kilometers, centimeters has to end over here. It's actually 1,500,000 centimeters. So it's really easy to play with numbers this way. What happens if we start with a small unit and we go to a bigger unit? Now, I've been using meters, but I'm going to change because you can, and it's the same thing. What happens if we do milligrams instead? It really doesn't matter which one these are, because they're all the same. Let's say I have 47 centigrams of liquid, I don't know, it weighs something that weighs something. And I want to know how many grams it is. Well, I'm going to have my 47 end in my centigram. So I'm going to do 47 that ends in centi. And I have to figure out how many grams it is. Well, if you'll notice, going this way, there aren't any grams. Grams are 0. So this is going to be a 0 point. There are 0 grams. And so in my gram column, I'm going to say 0 point. And so my answer is 0.47 grams. Let's do a couple of those. What if I have 36 milliliters, and I'm switching units again, liters. How many decaliters? A brief note. If you'll notice, there's 2 that start with D, and so they can't both be DM or DG or DL. So they tend to make this one either a DK gram or meter or whatever, or a DA, depending on who writes the book, really. Just so you know. So I think your book does A, but I grew up with K, so sorry, you got a K. So we want our 36 to end in milliliters. So we're going to say 36 milliliters, but we want to know how many decaliters. Well, decaliters is here, and there aren't any. It's smaller than a deciliter. So this is going to be 0 point, and I'm going to have to fill these in. 0.0036 decaliters. Okay? Let's do one more big one. What happens if we start with a decimal? Let's do 3.92 centimeters, and that is how many hectometers? Where do I start this? I've got 3 and a little bit centimeters. I want to put that 3 centimeters in the spot where my ones place is in here. My ones place has to go in that column. So this is 3.92. And I want to know how many hectometers it is. Hectometers? I don't know how to say that. So again, this is going to be 0 point, and this is where my new point is, which means this point goes away. And I am going to fill in zeros for all of those. So my answer is 0.000392 hectometers. I don't know. Your book doesn't teach you this way. Your book teaches it the way we teach Americans measurement, which is silly because this is so much easier. Your conversion is on the very bottom of page 509. It's a happy little blue box, and it tells you that there are 0.1 meters in a decimeter and 0.001 meters in a centimeter and 100 meters in a hectometer. And it's, if you want to do your conversions that way, you can, but there's a lot more memorization and work you have to do for that. This is so much easier to do. When you turn the page to page 510, they're still teaching you the hard way. And they're teaching you that, oh, look, you're just moving the decimal. And if you know how many you will have, you're just moving it. Well, so are we. We just moved the decimal. We've moved the decimal 1, 2, 3, 4. We moved the decimal 4 spots. Did I know that there were 10,000 centimeters in a hectometer? Because 10,000 has 4 zeros, and so I'm going to move the decimal 4 spots? No, I didn't know that. I don't have to know that. I don't care. I have to know that when I put my ones place in this column, which puts the decimal here, I'm now going to move the decimal here. And that's all I have to remember. I like this way much better. You can do them whatever way you want. Good luck with your conversions. But, you know, here's this to work with if you'd like to. Now, it's really important to realize that these are all 3 the same unit, and you're going to get through the next 4 sections, you're going to get some units. They're going to specifically talk about grams and specifically talk about liters. 9.2 specifically talks just about meters. And it's all the same. So when you look on page 511 at your homework for 9-2, these are all meter problems, centimeters and hectometers and kilometers and all of that. So have at it. Have a look at the problems on page 511 and page 512. 512 has an olive green box, and they're trying to get you to picture things so that you have a general idea. And what I'd like you to understand is that a meter is about a yard, and a centimeter is about the width of your pinky, and a kilometer is about half a mile. So when it's asking you about how big is a credit card, am I going to measure that? Am I going to measure a credit card in centimeters or meters or kilometers? So you know that you would probably measure it in centimeters. So just so you know. And that's 9-2. Thank you for playing, and I'll be right back with 9-3.